welcome to Startrack Devos once again. The usage of the word hope has fallen on hopeless times. Today, if your friend tells you that he will hopefully meet you, he's really not sure. In other words, hope is used to express something uncertain or doubtful. Real hope, however, is a powerful force. A doctor commented, if you lead a patient to believe there's no hope for him, you drive another nail into his coffin. Patients cling to the hope of recovery their doctors give them. When the people of Israel were sent into captivity, their hopes were dashed. They didn't expect the exile to really happen. Their spirits were broken, as the psalmist recounts. Alongside the banks of the Babylon rivers, we sat down. We cried and cried, remembering the good old days in Zion. On the swaying willow trees, we stacked our unplayed harps. But the faithfulness of God, speaking through Jeremiah, sent them a message. I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. Viktor Frankl spent time as a prisoner in concentration camp in Auschwitz, Nazi Germany. He found that those in the camps who couldn't see beyond their freedom sank to the bottom of the well of despair and hopelessness, gave up and perished. He documents his experiences in his bestseller, Man's Search for Meaning. Frankl's message is ultimately one of hope. Even in the most absurd, painful, and dispiriting of circumstances, life can be given a meaning. So too can suffering. Life in the concentration camp taught Frankl that our main drive or motivation is neither pleasure, as Freud believed, nor power, as Adler believed, but meaning and hope. Hope in the Bible is a confident waiting upon the future by God. We don't have to strain our imagination and project our dreams and ambitions in an attempt to create a hope-filled future. In our pressure-driven now lifestyles of today, hope is hardly talked about. The prodigal son lived in a now world. He wanted his inheritance now, unwilling to wait to grow to maturity. Yanking his inheritance from his father's hand, the young man barreled straight down to his lowest pit stop, the pig trough. Hope is knowing that the Father has reserved your inheritance in heaven well above the reach of moth, thief, and rust. When God promised Abraham a son, the situation between his wife and himself looked absolutely dismal. Yet the promise that God made him was as solid as a mountain. God swore by himself that he would do it. This is the paradox of hope. It looks like it can never even happen, and yet it's backed by complete assurance. Hope rests on the sure foundations of God's unchanging nature, His faithfulness, and His word. Hope has faith and love for siblings. Faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen, says Hebrews. Love, on the other hand, is possible when we have hope. The Good Samaritan showed his hope that God could take care of him and the victim he found languishing on the road. His future was secure. The love of hope shares all it has because it knows its resources are limitless, like God himself. Jairus' hopes were gone when he heard of his daughter's death. But Jesus told him not to listen to the people, but just trust him. Elijah's widow gathered sticks to make one last meal, but the prophet spoke hope into her flour bin and life as well. Just as Hagar's water skin lay crumpled beside her, so was a hope of survival. God's angel showed up. "Why are you cast down, O my soul, and why are you in turmoil within me? Hope in God, for I shall again praise him, my salvation and my God." Hope is a major weapon against a suicidal impulse, Carl Manager says. Perhaps your marriage feels like shattered glass. You've been diagnosed with a condition that makes the doctors shake their heads. Your business is scraping the bottom of the pan. Or perhaps you've suffered so many setbacks that you're only left with a heap of ashes to lie on, like Job. Even if you're down to nothing, my friend, no one can take away your hope in God. Say with the psalmist, "I wait for the Lord. My soul waits, and in his word I hope." God bless you, man.